Welcome to my video on persuasion. Persuasion is a fundamental aspect of our daily lives, and it plays a crucial role in shaping our attitudes, beliefs, and behavior. But what is persuasion exactly? Simply put, persuasion is the process of influencing someone's thoughts, beliefs, or actions through communication. This can be done through verbal or written communication, as well as through nonverbal cues like body language and facial expressions. Persuasion is important because it allows us to influence others and to convince them to see things from our perspective. It can be used in a variety of settings, from the workplace to personal relationships, and it can be a powerful tool for achieving our goals. In this video, we'll explore the history of persuasion, its role in social psychology, and some common techniques used in persuasion. We'll also discuss the ethics and its impact in the digital age. So sit back, relax, and join us as we dive into the fascinating world of persuasion. Now that we've established what persuasion is and why it's important, let's take a look at its history. Persuasion has been around for as long as human civilization, and there are many early examples of persuasion in history. For instance, ancient Greek and Roman politicians used rhetoric, or the arts of persuasive speaking, to win over their audiences and to persuade them to support their policies. In the Middle Ages, religious leaders used persuasive techniques to convert people to their particular beliefs, and during the Renaissance, artists and writers used persuasion to convince people to support their ideas and values. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, persuasion became a more formalized field of study with the development of social psychology and the study of how attitudes and behavior are influenced by others. Today, persuasion continues to be an important part of our daily lives and is used in a wide variety of contexts, from advertising to politics to personal relationships. As we mentioned earlier, persuasion became a more formalized field of study in the 19th and early 20th centuries with the development of social psychology. Social psychology is the branch of psychology that focuses on how individuals think, feel, and behave in social situations. And within social psychology, persuasion is a key area of study, as it involves the influence of one person on another. One of the early pioneers in this study of persuasion was American psychologist Leon Festinger, who proposed the theory of cognitive dissonance. This theory states that people have an inherent desire to hold consistent beliefs and attitudes, and that they will experience psychological discomfort when their beliefs and actions are in conflict. Through his research, Festinger showed that people are more likely to be persuaded when they're experiencing cognitive dissonance, because it reduces their psychological discomfort. Other notable psychologists who have contributed to the study of persuasion include Albert Bandura, who developed the concept of self-efficacy, which is the belief in one's ability to succeed in a particular situation or accomplish a task. It is a personal judgment of how well one can execute the actions necessary to produce a desired outcome. And Robert Cialdini, who identified the 6 principles of persuasion. Ultimately, the development of persuasion as a field of study in psychology has helped us to better understand the process and factors that influence our attitudes and behavior. After discussing the history of persuasion and its development as a field of study in psychology, let's talk about its role in shaping attitudes and behavior. Persuasion plays a crucial role in social psychology, as it involves the influence of one person on another. As you know, through persuasion, we can change someone's attitudes, beliefs, and behavior, and this can have a significant impact on how they think and act in the world. For example, persuasive messages in advertising can influence our purchasing decisions, and persuasive speeches can convince us to support a particular political candidate or policy. But persuasion is not always as simple as it might seem. Our attitudes and behavior are influenced by a variety of factors, including our personal experiences, our values and beliefs, and the context in which we are exposed to persuasive messages. Therefore, persuasion is not a one-size-fits-all process, and requires a deep understanding of the individual and the context in which the persuasion is occurring. In the next section, we'll discuss some of the theories of persuasion that have been developed in social psychology. There are many theories of persuasion that have been developed in social psychology, and these theories help us to understand the processes and factors that influence us. One of the most widely known theories of persuasion is the elaboration likelihood model, proposed by psychologists Richard Petty and John Cacioppo. This model suggests that there are two routes to persuasion, the central route and the peripheral route. The central route occurs when we carefully consider and evaluate the arguments and evidence presented to us. This is more likely to happen when we have a high level of motivation and ability to process the information, and it leads to more enduring attitude change. On the other hand, the peripheral route occurs when we base our attitude on factors that other than the arguments and evidence presented. This can include factors like the credibility of the source, the attractiveness of the person delivering the message, or the emotional appeal of the message. Another influential theory of persuasion is the heuristic systematic model, proposed by psychologist Shelley Chaikin. This model suggests that when we are exposed to persuasive messages, we use two different processes to evaluate the information: the heuristic process and systematic process. The heuristic process is a quick and effortless way of evaluating information based on our prior knowledge and beliefs. The systematic process, on the other hand, is a more deliberate and involves careful consideration and evaluation of the information. In general, these theories of persuasion help us to understand the various factors that influence our attitudes and behavior, and they provide valuable insight into the persuasive process. Now that we've discussed some of the theories of persuasion, let's talk about some common techniques used in persuasion. One of the most common techniques used in persuasion is the use of emotional appeals. This involves appealing to people's emotions rather than their rational thinking, in order to persuade them to support a particular idea or action. For example, fear appeals are often used in persuasive messages, particularly in advertising and public health campaigns. These appeals use fear to motivate people to take a particular action, such as buying a product or using protection during intimate activities. Another common technique used in persuasion is the use of rhetorical devices, such as metaphors, repetition, and rhetorical questions. These devices can make persuasive messages more memorable and effective, and they can help to create a strong emotional connection with the audience. Additionally, social proof, or the idea that people are more likely to do something if they see others doing it, is often used in persuasion. This technique relies on the idea that people are influenced by the behavior of others, and it can be particularly effective when used in group settings. In short, these techniques are commonly used in persuasion, and they can be effective in shaping our behavior. However, as we'll discuss in the next section, there can be negative consequences to using these techniques, and it's important to consider the ethics of persuasion. While persuasion can be a powerful tool for achieving our goals, it's important to consider the ethics of persuasion and the potential negative consequences of using persuasive techniques. One of the main ethical concerns with persuasion is the potential for manipulation. When persuasion is used in an unethical manner, it can be manipulative and coercive, and it can lead to negative outcomes for the person being persuaded. For example, persuasion can be used to exploit people's fears and vulnerabilities, and it can be used to manipulate people into making decisions that are not in their best interests. This can be particularly concerning when persuasion is used by those in positions of power, such as politicians or advertisers. Additionally, the use of certain persuasive techniques such as emotional appeals and fear appeals can be unethical because they rely on exploiting people's emotions rather than appealing to their rational thinking. This can lead to irrational decision-making and can have negative consequences for the individual and society as a whole. While persuasion can be a valuable tool, it's important to consider the ethics of persuasion and to be mindful of the potential negative consequences of using persuasive techniques. In the digital age, persuasion has taken on a new dimension with the rise of social media and technology. These platforms have created new opportunities for persuasion, and they have also introduced new challenges and ethical considerations. One of the key ways in which social media and technology have impacted persuasion is through the proliferation of persuasive messages. With the rise of the internet and social media, we are exposed to an overwhelming amount of information and persuasive messages on a daily basis. This can make it difficult for us to effectively evaluate and respond to these messages, and it can lead to information overload and decision fatigue. Additionally, social media and technology have made it easier for people to create and disseminate persuasive messages, and this has led to the rise of fake news and other forms of misinformation. This can have serious consequences as it can lead to the spread of false information and manipulation of public opinion. In sum, the role of social media and technology in modern persuasion is complex, and it presents both opportunities and challenges. It's important for us to be mindful of the persuasive messages we are exposed to and to critically evaluate the information we encounter online. Another one of the key concerns with online persuasion is the potential for it to create echo chambers, or online environments where people only encounter information that aligns with their pre-existing beliefs and attitudes. This can lead to the reinforcement of existing beliefs and the exclusion of alternative viewpoints, and it can result in the polarization of public opinion. Furthermore, the use of algorithms and targeted advertising on social media platforms can make it easier for persuasive messages to be tailored to individual users, and this can make it difficult for us to detect when we are being manipulated. In conclusion, persuasion is a fundamental aspect of our daily lives, and it plays a crucial role in shaping our attitudes, beliefs, and behavior. We've discussed the history of persuasion, its role in social psychology, and some common techniques used in persuasion. We've also explored the ethics of persuasion and its impact in the digital age. Overall, understanding persuasion is important because it allows us to better understand the processes and factors that influence our decisions. It can help us identify when we are being persuaded, and it can enable us to make more informed and rational decisions. So thank you for joining us on this journey through the world of persuasion. We hope that you gained a better understanding of this fascinating topic and that you'll be able to use this knowledge to make more informed decisions in your daily life.